So once you feel like you've taken the golf club to the top in a nice position, you should see a couple of key points here. The body weight should be loaded slightly into the rear foot, but on the inside of the rear foot, 60-40 weight positioning. We've got a nice strong straight left arm, so the left arm is straight away from the chest. We've got a 90-degree shoulder rotation, and that should get us to the top. So the golf club's held around about the 2 o'clock position for myself, but anywhere between 3 and 12 would be a good position. So winding up, nice position at the top here. And from there we're going to start the downswing. The first part of the downswing that I'd like you to move is actually your left hip. You're going to drive your left hip back towards the target. So from the top of the swing, we're going to drive the left hip back across towards the flags. And I actually like to talk about this as what we call bumping the hips. So we're going to bump the hips across and then we're going to turn them around. Now the hips can do two things. They can either rotate or they can slide. So they can either turn this way or they can move laterally. Now in the downswing we actually need both. We need a lateral rotation. So from the top of the swing, they're going to laterally rotate around. So from this position, wind up, they don't do much, then they go lateral, and then they rotate. Now that lateral movement is quite important for two parts. Firstly, it moves your body weight, it sets the transition of the body weight across. It also creates and allows some room for the hands and arms to come into. If you don't create that room with your hips, you can always struggle to get your hands down into the right position. So from a good setup position, we're going to wind it up to the top, we're going to bump the hip, and then we're going to turn the belt buckle. And actually turning the belt buckle around to the flags this way is a real good way of generating a lot of power in your downswing. So from looking at this line now, as we take the golf club all the way up to the top, as those hips move and bump across, it's actually going to start to pull your arms down. If you've wound your shoulders up, there's no way you'll be able to move your hips without your shoulders unwinding. But the point being is that the power you actually put in, the initiation of the movement, is from the hips. So we wind the golf club up to the top in a good position, bump the hip across, and I'd like you to feel how your arms are going to drop down slightly behind your body. So the club is up, moved across, and the arms come down from the inside. I'd like you to feel that your right elbow comes in towards your body and actually stays quite close. This is really one of the first occasions we actually start to implement any power into the right arm. But it's quite important the power is in a slightly downwards, what we call inside move, and not just an extension over the top. If you've ever suffered with a slice, and most golfers do at some stage suffer with a slice, then it's often caused by an extension of the right arm throwing it over the top. We will cover a slice in a lot more detail later on, but if this is the first time you swing the golf club, we really want to make sure that we're bringing the golf club up and down on the right line right from the start. So winding up to the top position, bump the hips across, pull the right elbow down into the side of the body, keeping that golf club slightly behind you. It might feel that you're making a slight backwards loop in comparison to the line you took on your backswing. So your backswing would have been online, and up. You might feel like you're now slightly down on the inside of that line. That's a real positive thing. That's going to lead you into the golf ball slightly from the inside, producing a straight or maybe even a slight draw flight to your shots. So, winding up to the top, bumping, pulling in with the right elbow, and then rotating through the golf ball. As you get through to the golf ball, you should now start to feel a lot of body weight on your left side as you come in towards the impact position. You might even feel that your right heel is starting to lift, and it should certainly be getting very light. But if your right heel starts to lift, the body weight's through to the left side, that tells us that you're in a great position just before you hit the golf ball.